Hey y'all, and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played recently in my tournament. This is round 4, and so far the tournament has been the worst tournament of my life. I'm currently 0 out of 3. Actually, technically, sorry, this isn't round 4, this is technically round 5. But round 4, my opponent withdrew, so I'm not counting that. Either way, this is round 5. I'm currently 0 out of 3, and it's not going too well. But we're just going to get into the chess. So my opponent starts off the game with e4, and I had prepared something against him. I had prepared something that I was found to be wrong around 10 minutes before the round started. I prepared this very, very interesting line in the chesscom, which was c6, d4, d5. I believe it was... What was the line? Yeah, it was this move. Then it was the move e5, I believe. Takes, knight somewhere. Actually, no, not. It was a long time ago that I saw this. Yeah, it was bishop e3, knight d4, knight d5, and at the end of the line, basically, the idea of black is to take the bishop here and play knight d7, and basically have a very easy game. One of the lines goes like this. It's either way. One of the lines goes like this, where white takes this pawn, black captures on d3, takes, and this move knight d7, and actually it's an equal position since white has these very awkward pawns. After something like long castles, putting the knight to the king, I can simply play something like king c7, and the pawn is lost. A line goes like this, and at the end of the day, it's a game, and I thought this would be a very, very interesting line to play against him. But what kind of shocked me early on is that all the way back here, my friend who was also playing in this tournament told me that my opponent's not going to play this line. He basically told me, and he gave me some theory right before the game. He told me that my opponent's going to play the Panov variation after ED, CD, and this move C4. He told me he was going to play this, and I had to think on my feet right away. I was like, oh no, that's not good. I just practiced. I just prepped for like an hour last night, and now I'm being told that this isn't what he's gonna play. I've been told I did this all for nothing, and yeah. But he gave me this very, very valuable theory. He basically said, okay, after this, I'm gonna play knight f6, and I'm just gonna play a normal game with the g6, bishop g7, wait on knight c6. Basically, just I'm going to castle, and after my opponent develops their light squared bishop, I am going to take on c4 and play against this isolated pawn. And I'm very, very glad he told me that, because this could have gone wrong. I might have played a too prompt, like bishop g5 or bishop g4 or bishop f5, and it could have gone wrong very quickly. So really, really thanks to that guy. He's the guy who beat me in round 1. But either way, my opponent played knight c3. And luckily for me, I had this all planned out. G6, my opponent goes h3, bishop g7, my opponent goes knight f3, castles, bishop d3, takes, and here I am on my own. Remember, this is I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the intro, this is, the time control of this game is an hour and a half for both sides with 30-second increment per move. Whenever I make a move, I get 30 seconds on my clock. I don't have the clocks here. I have them on this screen, but I don't want to like specifically transfer everything over to chess.com, so I'm not going to. Either way, I'll keep you updated if it gets into trouble. So here I thought for a while. Here I thought for a very long time. Well, not for a very long time, around 4 or 5 minutes, and I was honestly playing pretty well. I was playing pretty confidently, and I was trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, and I ended up settling on this very, very interesting move, a6, which, as the engine says, is the best move, and I'm very proud of that. The idea of a6 is that I want to play the move knight c6, I want to play the move knight c6, but the issue with knight c6 is my opponent can play this move e5, d5, sorry, and my knight doesn't really have a good square. If my knight goes here, I'm easily going to be taken out by this move a3, and if my knight goes to a5, in all honesty, at this point in the game, I was just thinking my knight's not really doing much from a5 and is already threatening to be trapped by the move b4. So I already thought that that wasn't very good, so I thought of a very, very interesting plan, which is this move a6, which is very, very nice. The idea, primarily, is that if my opponent does nothing, I'm going to play the move b5, I'm going to go bishop b7, and I'm going to get my pieces out. I'm going to get my knight out last, and my light square bishop out first, because my light square bishop is also a piece that doesn't have a good square. I can't go here, which is where I want to go. And if I go here, my bishop might be kicked around with a move like this. Maybe even g4 works somehow. And honestly, the bishop, even on that square, wouldn't really be looking at anything. So I already thought that bishop f5, let's just see with the engine. I thought this was a mistake, and I'm right, which is cool. So a6, the primary idea was that the issue with knight b4 was that he plays the move a3. So the point of a6 was to induce him to stop the move b5 by playing the move a4 himself. And this was very, very clever by me. And now I play knight c6, which is very, very cool. Basically, if I played it on the last move, it's still, sorry, if I played it on the last move here, it's still okay. But I thought this move d5 was decently strong. And it is if I play the move knight b4, which was my original idea. But here I have knight a5. And I'm actually doing very, very well. I wasn't looking at this line. I have to admit, I really wasn't looking at this line. Basically, the computer says that black is just better. But that's kind of crazy. Like, it even looks like the knight is trapped here, but actually knight b7. And the knight's coming here, and then I'm going to get my bishop out. Crazy line. I didn't see this. I didn't see this at all. But instead, a6. My opponent goes a4. I go knight c6. And after the move d5, the advantage that you're seeing here is if I play the move knight a5. I didn't see that. I don't think I was going to see it. And I played my move very, very quickly. So I played the move knight to b4, which I had already considered, and I was already trying to get this going. And yeah, to me, it struck me as the best move. But it does give away my advantage, and this is actually my one advantage that I ever get this game, which is a little bit funny. My opponent castles. Very reasonable, trying to get out of any future knight forks. Castles. I decided to go with the quick move bishop to f5, which I had looked at a while, and I had thought that it was just the best move. Basically, I'm trying to get in here, maybe. I'm finally developing my bishop, and now my rook is coming here, and everything is good. My pieces are developed. He can't kick my knight out anymore. Like, queen b3 doesn't really do anything. I can even play knight c2. I don't even know where the rook goes. Probably to a2. And then even something like as mundane as like knight d7 trying to come up here, and black is like significantly better. You can't take this, of course, because of like knight c5. Yeah, and the queen is actually almost getting trapped, which is a lot of fun. But after my opponent's next move, I was a little bit unsure of the position, because my opponent quickly, very, very quickly, like in like a couple of minutes, played the move knight to d4, which is a very good move. Simply saying, okay, I want your bishop, and if you go back, then you've wasted time. If you go back here, then it's not, your bishop's not really on the right square. The bishop wants to be like very, very strong and active, and on d7, it's not really doing that much, because these squares are already defended, and honestly, I don't like it. Honestly, blocking the queen is probably a big deal here. So I briefly considered all that, and I ended up quickly playing the right move. I quickly played bishop e4 in very little time, and I'm very happy with my time expenditure this game, because a lot of the time I spent very low amounts of time, at least in the first couple of moves. Later on, yeah, I spend a little too much. But bishop e4, simply attacking this pawn. If you push, I don't know, I'm probably better. I can probably take with the queen, and I'm just winning, so he can't really do that. Really, the only move here is knight takes e4. That's the only one I really calculated. Queen b3 is another. But it didn't strike me as the right move, queen b3, because I can even play a5, and then rook c8 is on the way, like maybe even that move is on the way. Maybe I can play that immediately, come around like this. Oh, no, well, I can't play that immediately because knight takes, but I really thought that knight e4 was like the only move. My opponent played knight e4. All right, I take back with my knight. First of all, you might be wondering, isn't that a fork? No, kind of. Not really. First of all, I can counter fork him, which doesn't work because the knight is there. Remember to keep an eye on board vision. Yes, I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm not doing very well today. But really the idea is, okay, I take this, he comes here, and I thought, okay, my position is fine. I can come back to g7. I don't know. I thought this was fine. Actually, the only move here, there's a couple moves. What I have to do is attack one of these pieces again. Probably like rook c8 is the best line, and then after it takes, I will take on c4 and be better. There's actually a decent bit of like trickery here. Okay, I don't want to get into all this. Yeah, I don't have that much time right now to get into all of this. But I just thought that queen e1 I would figure something out and I would be okay. Either way, my opponent decides to go with a very different move, a very, very interesting move. My opponent plays the move knight to c2, simply attacking my knight on b4, saying that if I trade, this is a better position for white, because at the end of the day, white has more pressure. My knight gets kicked out of the center, and he thought, okay, white is better in that line. Also, little side note, he has the bishop pair, but this bishop is a little bit bad since my bishop is very, very active, targeting this pawn and forcing this bishop to stay passive, which is nice for me. But I thought here for a little bit. I tried to find a lot of things. I was mainly considering moves like rook c8 or queen to c7. This is what I was mainly looking at. There's also this very nice move, queen d6, that I kind of overlooked, which is another one of the top engine moves. And rook c8 is the best move. But I was thinking for a while here. And I ended up not believing enough in rook c8. I thought rook c8, that just doesn't seem right. That just feels wrong. Like I felt like even like moves like b3, because at the end of the day, after rook c8 here, like he moves the knight back. No, he has to go queen b3 here, right? He has to go queen b3, and maybe I saw a ghost. Because I was worried about b3 at some times and kicking out the rook, and I obviously can't take this rook because he takes my rook, and then he has these pawns, which I thought were kind of strong. But no, maybe I saw a ghost there. Either way, I didn't play rook c8. I took on c2. After a long think, I took on c2. And I'm just arguing, okay, well, now you have no more knight, and my knight's simply going to go back to d6, targeting your bishop. Now my rook gets the c file, and I'm doing quite well. My opponent goes back to d3, and a reasonable move. I go with this move b5, a very interesting move. But this isn't correct, really. I probably should simply play the move like rook c8 and just relaxed. b5 is a little too much. The idea is he can't take, because if he takes, he opens up the a file, I thought that I was doing pretty well here. Yeah, he opens up the a file, and I thought I was doing pretty well here, because after this line, I was attacking this pawn, and this was my main idea. And I'm like, okay, my queen is actually doing very, very well here. You can't go here because I thought I would win the pawn. Wait, how do I not win the pawn here? Take, rook c8. Bishop g5. But the line still isn't over. Bishop d, okay. Oh yeah, okay, just a draw. Anyway, I didn't think he could do that. But this is my main idea, like attacking the pawn from a8 and also defending the a file. I thought that was pretty interesting. So I didn't think he could take that. And I thought that if he pushed, I would be better, because now I simply get like rook c8, and I'm doing very, very well. Yeah, all reasonable. My main idea here is actually the c5 square for my knight, which is very nice, since he can't push this pawn still due to the rook being hanging. And I was all like, oh man, this is a good position. I like this. And I briefly considered like him keeping the tension. But for some reason, I didn't like think about it enough. Like I really should have thought about it a lot more. I was like, okay, he might be able to keep the tension here. Like I think it's probably like equal if he keeps the tension, but I didn't like calculate anything concrete, and I really should have. Because he keeps the tension here, and he simply plays the move rook e1, which is a pretty decent move. Simply putting pressure on my pawn on e7, which is a little bit bad since I can't push it forward to do this pawn, and this is his main weakness in the position, so I have to discount this. And I was thinking for a while here, and then I just played a lazy move. I thought for a while, and I probably could have found something a lot better, but I ended up just being very, very lazy. I played this move queen d7 after a long think, just because it looked nice. I mean, can you really fault me? Okay, I get both my rooks connected. Now they're going to come down the c file, maybe the e file. I mean, queen d7 is a very, very flexible move, which I was looking at, but it doesn't work. And really, I should have been more conscious of my opponent's threats here, because what my opponent wants to do is this move bishop to g5. And just keep putting pressure on the pawn. Like if I played rook e8, my opponent, not right now, would play bishop g5, but after queen d7, the idea is bishop g5, and he plays it pretty quickly, and I'm almost losing a pawn. It's a really big issue here. I have to, what I really should have done, and this is the engine's top move, which is a very, very nice move, just stop bishop g5, go bishop f6, and actually your bishop is really good on this square. It just defends the square. It targets the king in some lines. I'm gonna come here. It still targets this pawn. It still comes over here in some lines. The bishop is very, very well placed on that square, but I didn't realize that in time, because normally you're supposed to keep the bishop on g7, and bishop f6 just didn't occur to me. So after queen d7, which I thought was very, very flexible, and bishop g5, I had to think here for a while, and I can't defend the pawn. After rook fe8, I thought ab, and I'm like, okay, I can't recapture because I'm just gonna lose, right? I'm just gonna lose here, probably like this, and I mean, like, what am I doing here? So I can't do that. And if I recapture with the knight, I was just like not liking my position. Like I thought if I recapture with the knight, he had something, but I guess not. I guess it doesn't have something. I thought like maybe even like this, but I guess this pawn is weak and this pawn is weak, and actually it's probably black who's playing here. Okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting. I absolutely should have just played rook fe8, but I thought for a while, and I thought my only move here was to move bishop to f6 now, simply stopping him from taking the pawn, because I didn't see any other way to defend the pawn. But this loses. This loses, and I saw exactly how this loses. After bishop takes bishop, pawn takes pawn, now what changes in the position is that this pawn goes from being a weakness to being a passed pawn 3 squares away from queening, and it's pretty strong. It's almost like gouging me in total, and I have to play very, very well here. I saw a win for my opponent. Right here, and if my opponent played this move, I probably would have lost the game. My opponent has queen c6. I was thinking for a while, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna lose the game. If I play like rook ad8, rook fd8, he plays ab, and he opens up the file. The only move here for white, by the way, after queen c6, is move rook ad8, which just loses a pawn. But I have counterplay here, I guess, on his d pawn. I don't even know. It's not something that like a sane person would go for. The only move I really considered was queen c6, but in this position I'm just worse. I am just significantly worse. He's gonna have this pawn probably. I thought that the line ab rook takes, and then like his rook getting to the 7th rank. I thought this was like almost lights out for black, because this pawn is just so strong. He's gonna come here. It's very, very scary. The only line here is this, and I have to defend the pawn from the other side, which is tough. I'm not sure if I would be able to do that. But yeah, and this was really, really scary to me. This whole line that I calculated was very, very, very scary to me, and I kept like considering like how to circumvent this, and I couldn't find anything. But luckily, my opponent didn't find it. My opponent plays queen c3, which is a good move, attacking my pawn. And basically, either I play king g7 or f5. There's not really a debate. And he's still going to have queen c6 at the end of the line. But now it's an even better position because I moved my pawn a bit forward. And so I played f5. And I'm just saying, okay, if he has queen c6 now, I probably still lose, but I think it's a better version, and it might be a draw. I might be able to make a draw there after queen c6. And it's a lot more drawish if I do. It's a lot more drawish. But my opponent doesn't find it again, and it gives me another chance at life. He goes queen d4, and I'm back in the game. In fact, I'm really back in the game. I'm doing pretty well here, and in all honesty, it feels like I'm going to get some kingside attack at some point. Like, I have this f-pawn that's kind of advanced. Like, it just feels like there's going to be some problems with this king over there, or I'm going to be able to like get something on the queen side. And I'm still in defensive mode. Don't get me wrong, I'm still in defensive mode right now, but in the future I might be able to save this. I think for a little bit. I'm down here to very low on time. Let me see the exact position. Let's see the exact clocks at this position. This is after, yes, here, queen d4. Actually, I'm not down that low. I have 38 minutes versus 54, which is decent. That's fine. That's not the end of the world, but soon I'm going to be spending a lot of time. Rook fb8. I play in a decent amount of time. Simply stopping this. I'm simply stopping queen here. And after queen here, which I thought could be a problem, I thought that even like this move and black is fine. I'm wrong. I have to go ba4 and just call his bluff entirely, which is scary. Very, very scary here. I have to admit, letting the rook just like be there. This isn't really something I would like to do. But it's something I can do. Like even this move is kind of scary. Oh, okay. I have rook a7, and the rook is pinned to the king, to the queen. Very interesting. Very nice move. I didn't see that. By the way, the idea of bishop c4 you can't take because you get mated. And my original idea was if I do like anything, I thought that you could take here, which is a little scary. Like this. Oh, yeah, the queen is hanging. Dadoy. Either way. Yeah, I just have to call his bluff, which is insane. But my opponent doesn't go for that. My opponent goes for this very interesting move, a5, which is the best move technically. But what I thought is that, okay, this lets me off the hook. Black is fine now. I thought, okay, black is completely okay. And I'm just going to like consolidate my position. I'm going to get a rook to the c file, and I'm going to be doing great. I play rook b7, which I thought was a pretty good move at the time. Actually, the move I have to play is rook e8. Rook e8. Sorry. Not one I would like to play because the queen gets in. I don't like that. So I played rook b7. My idea was, okay, I'm going to bring this rook over, maybe to the c file, maybe to the e file. Depends on where I want the rook to be. Maybe I'm going to play for knight c5 in the future. This pawn has kind of become a weakness. If you play b4, I thought the c5 square becomes like a huge square for me, like a massive square for me. And I thought, in all honesty, I didn't really see a way for white to make progress. And what he has to do is like immediately play rook ac1. If he doesn't play rook ac1 here, he's actually doing pretty badly. Yeah, he has to play rook ac1 here. But instead of that, he plays an equally interesting move. He plays another move that makes a huge threat. He plays the move h4. And that's a pretty good move. In retrospect, that's a pretty good move. At the time, I was like, no, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. h4, like what are you even doing? You coming down here? Okay, I just recapture. But he's coming down to this square, and that's a little scary, and I really should have respected that a bit more, but I didn't really respect it. So I simply played the move rook c8 in very little time because I'm like, okay, I'm getting my rook to the c file. Life is good. But my opponent plays h5, and I'm in panic mode. I'm in panic mode here. Let's see how much time I had on the clock, because this is when the time kind of starts creeping up on me. I have 15 minutes here to 42 minutes, which is not good. And after my next move, which is the only move, by the way, queen d8, I have to come over here to the dark squares. If I don't play this move, then I'm losing. And if he goes h6, I thought I would play queen f8, and I would like get the pawn in some lines. But actually here, it's already very, very bad. It's already very, very bad. He can like sack the pawn. Like rook ec1 is the best move, and I can't take because of tactics somehow. Where tactics? Tactics. Yes, tactics. Threatening this fork of the. Oh wait, no, that's not a fork because the queen comes back. Okay, interesting. I guess just this pawn. Yeah, and black is worse. But instead of that, my opponent spends a little bit of time and promptly loses all of his advantage. My opponent had an interesting idea. He thought, okay, you know what I want to do? I want to open up the H file. I want to get a rook over there, and I want to mate him like this. That was my opponent's idea. Not a bad idea. I like checkmating people too. But instead of that, instead of like doing the normal thing, which probably the way to get that done is, I don't think there is a way to get that done actually. I think that he probably should have just given up on that dream before it started, which is how you're supposed to follow your dreams. Yeah, you're really not supposed to follow your dreams. Yeah, it's a misnomer. Either way, my opponent plays this move g3 and loses all of his advantage. It's not a good move. It's a very, very bad move, actually. And I think here for a little bit, I get under 10 minutes on the clock. And mind you, he still has like 38 minutes on the clock. He played this move decently quickly. I played queen g5 in like 1 or 2 minutes because I have to play fast. I have to play fast. Otherwise, I'm going to lose on time. Or I'm going to not have enough time to finish the game, which could be not good. Could be not good. King g2. And basically, my position is still very, very bad. What the computer wants me to do is take on h5 with the pawn. But you know, this pawn structure, do I really want that pawn structure? The answer is no. I do not want that pawn structure, so I did not go for this because I am a sane human being, and human beings would never play chess like this. Instead, I thought for a little bit, and I realized this plan. Obviously, if I take, this isn't very obvious, but it's an interesting idea. I thought that he plays rook h1 and... Oh, I didn't see this. I have to play queen g4. Oh, not for a queen trade. Oh, because after queen g5, I saw this. Rook h7 takes rook h here, and then checkmate. Or you can do it with the queen too. But I can make a draw with queen g4. And after this? I play rook e7, and I'm coming in with the perpetual check after this move. I have rook e2, and actually black is winning. That's so cool. He has to go queen f2, and then I'm just up a piece. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't see that at all. No, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, I wasn't looking at queen g4. I only looked at queen g5, which is a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I guess then queen h5 is like I guess it's the best move. Okay, the only move here is queen f4. Yeah, some why. Either way, I don't play that. I instead go for the attack. I go for kind of a Hail Mary because I have low time on the clock. I think I have like 7 minutes at this point, something like that. Let's check. Let's check. I do have 7 minutes at this point. And when I play my next move, f4, very, very nice move. Can't take because of this. And I thought that I'd be doing pretty well here. I thought he had to go here. And then I thought, okay, let's just draw. And I'm doing okay. No, I missed that he can actually lose the bishop. I missed that he can lose the bishop because of this. Okay, Great. I love missing things. Either way, he missed it too. I play this move with 5 minutes on my clock, which isn't good, and it's still versus 30 minutes, and I have to keep going. My opponent here plays h takes g6, a very, very good move. If I open up my h file, I lose because the rook comes in and he threatens mate, and it's game over. So I am forced to play f takes g6. My opponent goes rook e6, attacking my knight. I think here for a little bit. I can't think for too long. We have increment, but that's not like unlimited time. I think here for a little bit. I play rook d7, which is the only move defending my knight like this. If I played here, then I thought, okay, he immediately gets like the c file or something, or maybe even not the c file. He uses a rook h1, and white is doing very well. I guess I need the counterplay from the c file, right? So I go rook d7. My opponent goes rook a e1. And it's a draw. It's a draw. I've made a draw, which is better than the other rounds in this tournament. And I have to think for a little bit. There really isn't much time on my clock. I'm at like 1-2 minutes at this point. But my opponent is also spending time. Let's see the time check. Sorry, this is a little jarring. But yeah, at this point, my opponent has 11 minutes on his clock. So he's gone from 32 to 11, which is pretty good for me. And after my next move, FG, very, very natural. I am down to 3, which is not ideal. Not ideal. My opponent really probably has to take back with the pawn, which isn't the best move. Is f4 here. Very nice, but I didn't see this, and my opponent didn't either. Instead, he takes back with the pawn. I quickly decide to bring my rook to the f file, where I think it'll do more damage, and if he can't put a rook here now because I can take on f1. I can take on f1. If he takes back with the bishop, I get the knight in, and I'm doing good. And if he takes back with the king, of course, I thought I'm simply winning this pawn, and I'm probably winning the game. So he can't do that, and he thinks quickly. He plays the move rook 1 e2, which is a very, very good move, very clutch move. He's basically just trying to consolidate his position before doing anything drastic, which is a good plan. That's a good plan. That's what you're supposed to do in chess. He's stopping the move queen to d2 check, which was a move that I was planning on playing a lot in this game because he can't block with the bishop because he loses the queen. And I mean, if you block with a queen, my rook is here, just win your queen. So I thought that was a very, very good move, a very, very accurate move. And I keep playing. I keep playing on. Knight f5. I'm okay with losing the knight. Yes, it's my best piece, but at the same time, I have to make a draw. My opponent still has a decent bit of time on the clock. I believe he's at like 5 or 6 minutes now versus my 2, and 5 beats 2. So I have to play a little bit. I play very fast. I have to make my decisions very, very quickly. Queen takes f5. My opponent plays the move d6, which is a very interesting move, but it gives me the draw. I go queen f3. My opponent goes king h2. I go queen h5. And I'm up on time at this point, actually. I've been managing my time very, very well. I'm up on time. My opponent has, let's see if we can check this correctly. My opponent has 3 minutes on the clock, and I have 3 minutes on the clock. So I've been doing pretty good on time. And my opponent goes queen h4 pretty quickly. Obviously the best move. At least I thought so. I thought if I traded, it's a rook end game. He has the passed pawn. I thought white is playing here. I didn't want to get into this. I have this weakness. But actually I should have considered like moves like this. And he has this weakness. He has this weakness. Actually, maybe it's black playing for the win here. Cool stuff. But instead of that, I go queen c5, which I thought was a very accurate move. Trying to bring the rook here. I'm also attacking this pawn, which is very, very nice. And my opponent here thinks down to 3 seconds on his clock, desperately trying to find anything. Because actually it's black who's pushing here. It's black who's pushing here, not white, not anymore. And my opponent can't find anything. My opponent plays rook e7 with 3 seconds on his clock. He's up to 33 seconds because we get 30-second increment. But it's just a draw. Rook f2. My opponent, if he comes here, I take on e2 with check, so he can't do that. If he comes here, I thought that I would probably play queen d5 and checkmate him like this, which, yeah, that's a mate. So he has to take. He actually has king h3, which I overlooked, but either way, he takes queen f2, and we agree to a draw because, well, it's a draw. I'm going to make a perpetual check. I don't have much time on the clock. It's like a minute to a minute at this point, and I'm not in the mood to lose this game. So I'm on the board. I'm on the board. By the way, it's a draw. You might think the king runs here, but he doesn't because of checkmate. So that would be bad. Yeah, you don't want to get mated. But yeah, this was a very, very interesting game, and that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. And I have got to go, so I'm going to wrap this up very, very quickly. Good evening and good night.